Boo!
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, welcome to podcast number 28.
This is 28.
28.
Yeah, I haven't kept track in a very long time.
Yeah, well, it must feel, it used to surprise you, like, wow, already, but, like, then we took, like, half a year off, so it probably just feels like it's been a little too long now.
Yeah, it feels like we've been doing this forever.
Feels like it's like,
But meanwhile, we
58.
haven't even done as much as we did the first time around.
Not yet. Just a couple.
Season 1, I guess. Everything is a season.
Yeah, just a couple more.
Welcome to the Dark Souls of podcast, where everything is a season, and it's the hardest one to listen to.
Yeah, it's like Twin Peaks because the first season was pretty short.
Right.
The second season was a little too long and
dragging a little bit. The episodes are a little too long,
and it got really bad, but they just kept doing it.
Yeah, David Lynch left.
Yeah, but he'll be back. But he'll be back for the finale. No.
Cool. In the movie,
yeah.
Podcast movie.
Mm-hmm.
These are all basically little movies.
The podcast movie, yeah, that'll be coming up. I'm telling you, man.
What would constitute it as a movie if a regular episode is like 3 hours?
That's what I was saying. We'll have
like a 10-hour podcast.
No. Fuck that. I don't think I would listen to. I stopped watching that podcast. That's what I'm gonna say about that.
I was unrecognizable to myself.
Exactly. But the fuck, I don't know.
Well, and then you just point out how low you rated something.
Yeah,
I guess that would be me. Like, I gave Eraserhead a 6 out of 10. What is wrong with me?
Maybe you haven't re-seen it yet, but we'll get there.
That was just the first thing to think of, or it's like,
yeah,
or funny games.
Funny games.
A disappointingly
that
lower score.
Yeah, that one's disappointing to me still. That's like my biggest L on, my biggest L on this
on the podcast.
On the podcast, yeah.
It's okay. I don't know what my biggest L is.
Yeah, exactly. Because I don't know. Well, fuck.
Oh, because the
I guess we'll see. Eventually, there'll be one. Wait. Maybe it was
the top 100 IGN games, because that was my idea.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say maybe in terms of recommendations, maybe Chocolate and Cheese or Electric Ladyland.
Yeah, I was gonna say probably Electric Ladyland.
Those were both 6s from me. I spoiled 2 episodes, but
oh, so did I.
Yeah, it's okay. It's all good.
We're reflecting. That's what we do here.
We do.
So what do we got on the table?
Yeah, I guess we should get right into it because, unbeknownst to me, you think this will be a long one.
I think you say that every pod.
What?
So let's just get into it. It's going to be a long one.
Apparently. Well, yeah, I didn't know. I thought so.
That's okay. We can TM that as our it's going
to be a long one.
Yeah.
The Dark Souls of podcasts. It's the hardest to listen to.
It's hard and long.
It's going to be a long one. All right, let's get into it then. My recommendation is what we're talking about first.
Oh, first. Cool.
So, Jacob's Ladder.
Cool. I forgot the name again.
Yeah. So I actually did write a little summary of this. Are you getting a phone call?
Already, apparently.
Wow, that was fast. All right, then right into it. Fuck. Yeah, you said that this would be a long, we would have a long segment on this, which I
figured we'd have more to talk about this one, or at least I would, than my rec, honestly.
Well, I feel the same way, but that said, like, I thought this would be a normal, like, I guess I've adopted, like, about 45, 50 minutes to be, like, a normal amount of time to discuss something. But sometimes we take, like, 2 hours to discuss one movie. In one case.
Yeah.
I don't think this will be that case, but
No.
But I've got some stuff. I took more notes on it than I thought. But that is mostly because, well, we'll get there. I guess I'll give a little synopsis because I wrote one down this time, since we usually insist on doing that, and usually I forget about that.
Yeah. Right. Good on you.
Yeah. So
synopsis time.
Here we go. Yeah. So in this movie, there's a former Vietnam vet named Jacob, and he's now a postman. He suffers from PTSD from the war, from Nam.
As one would from Nam.
Mm-hmm. And the line between reality and his PTSD has blurred to the point that he basically lives in a nightmare half the time. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's a pretty in-depth synopsis.
Yeah. So,
well, in depth as it goes, because that's basically the whole movie.
yeah, so I want to yeah, we're obviously spoilers right off the fucking bat. And by the way, that's kind of like a copy of what they wrote on Amazon Prime.
Oh, cool.
So it's not that big of a spoiler,
okay,
I guess.
Yeah, cool. So just honestly, we could just use that as the synopsis.
Yeah. So I just, if anyone's like not interested in this, just like skip 15, 20 minutes ahead,
Yeah.
because the first thing I clearly want to do is Silent Hill, though.
Oh, that's the first thing I was gonna say. You fucking asshole!
I wanted to.
You gave me no. I knew you were gonna do this. I knew you were gonna bring it up.
I wanted to go over all the connections because there's a lot.
Yeah, I was. Well, no. While I was watching the movie, I was thinking, "There's no way that Silent Hill did not take inspiration from this movie." Because it came out in 1990, and overall stars not like a huge cast, like big names or anything.
Tim Robbins.
Yeah, and it's kind of nice because they look like average people, you know, or like more average than the Hollywood actors and actresses.
Yeah. So what I just wanted to go over things that they clearly took from this movie.
Yeah, like what Jacob was wearing.
Okay. So yeah, I have Silent Hill 2 connections and then Silent Hill 3 connections. But the first thing I wrote is this is probably the closest thing we'll get to a good
Silent Hill movie.
Good Silent Hill movie, yeah. Because we have a Silent Hill movie. And I don't know, maybe we'll visit that again one day. I know I need to, but I think this is better than that.
Yeah, I agree. Fucking hell. This is almost like a Silent Hill 1.5 or something.
Yeah.
Or 2 alpha.
So, did you enjoy it? The movie?
So, okay, if we're talking about general views on it, I don't know whether or not to... I'm in an interesting spot in this movie.
Okay.
I don't know whether to... I don't know if I really like it or if I hate it.
Okay. That's interesting. but we'll get there, because I like I said, I've got Silent Hill notes.
But I think I love it.
Okay.
Is your more direct answer.
Okay. We'll see what's going on there. But yeah, so I'll just rattle these off. Yeah, you nailed it with what he's wearing. But first of all, this movie's directed by...
Yeah, of course I noticed that. I'm like, it's James.
Yeah. It's directed by Adrian Lyne. And in Silent Hill 2, you get the Linehouse key. So that's a little thing. Now you'll notice that when it's in the apartments, by the way. So you'll notice that when you're going through. That's a clear parallel to this movie. What else from Silent Hill 2? Yeah, Paul's coat that Jacob wears in the ladder. I wrote that joke down. Half of the movie.
You write down the forced laugh in there too.
Yes, actually.
Just dot.
Yeah, the jacket that he wears for the second half of the movie, and when he's wearing jeans, it's literally James's outfit, down to the fucking dog tags around his neck and the badges on his coat. So there's that. When Jake is wheeled through the hospital, and it gets all dingy and battered, straight up Silent Hill.
Oh yeah.
Everything's creaky and rusty. There are grates and giant fans.
Yeah, there are lots of parts where the environment just gets like really rotted and decrepit and everything.
Right, and he sees all these like deformed people. And yeah, I think that part where he's getting wheeled through is the most Silent Hill thing seen in the film. And the nurse with no eyes. If you remember that shot.
No, but I did remember there was a when he was looking up at all the loonies, there was that one girl just like breastfeeding a doll. That's also very Silent Hill like.
Yeah, I'd say so.
To disgust the player,
right,
while simultaneously attracting them.
Right. You really don't remember the nurse with no eyes. It was just like skin over here.
Oh, when they were giving him the lobotomy.
Yeah, we'll get there. Like she shoots him up with something, but yeah, that was very fucking Silent Hill to me.
Yeah.
That's what I had for Silent Hill 2 connections, and I wrote some for 3 also. But
was also that dance scene. the dance party with all the strobing lights. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like it's not like
the tentacles and stuff. Well, you see some weird stuff.
Well, also there wasn't like direct sex involved, but it was like heavily implied.
Yeah, and
with like Pyramid Head just shaking and all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
My mind was like, this is the part where you fill in the blanks to see what's happening.
Right, and you see some weird stuff there too, like some skin, like skin. Epidermis, is that what it's called?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Your skin on your body.
Uh-huh.
Like you see some skinny animals or something. Like you see like bat wings and tentacles and shit.
Right.
I don't know. I'm trying to find the right words to say it, but like it looks like the monsters in Silent Hill 1 kind of.
I thought they looked like at least in that scene, I thought they were more like reptile and animalistic.
Yeah, you could say that
than,
too.
Fleshy.
I see that.
That's what I thought when I saw it.
To me, it reminded me of the bats that fly around, or whatever the fuck they are, like the pterodactyls in the first game. Like, because you quickly see like a wing or some shit, and it's like skin colored.
The birds that happen sometimes remind me of the fucking moths in the last boss in 2.
Oh, right. Yeah, I don't know, there's a lot of similarity in some of the more abstract things that Jacob sees and Silent Hill monsters.
Right.
For Silent Hill 3, some pretty fucking direct shit here too. The subways at the beginning. Absolutely Silent Hill 3 inspired, especially because he's looking for Bergen Street. I forget how to pronounce it. Which is the street that you're going to find in Silent Hill 3. And even the door is chained shut the same way it is in Silent Hill 3.
Huh.
And then he climbs down on the tracks and almost gets hit, just like in Silent Hill 3.
See, I didn't notice those.
I guess it's
I don't think at that early in the movie I was like looking for Silent Hill stuff until I noticed he was wearing James's outfit.
You're right. But yeah, maybe it's because we did Silent Hill 3 on the channel, or we're doing it on the channel.
We're doing it.
So
it's planned.
But no, it's coming out like as this comes out. Shh, don't mess with the timeline.
I'm not messing.
Anyway, yeah, I think you'll notice that if you play Silent Hill 3 again, and you're like, oh yeah, fuck. But yeah, he's literally looking for the same street that Heather is in Silent Hill 3. And the doors changed shut. And I said the last time I saw this, I hadn't played Silent Hill 3 yet. And the last thing that I noticed was Jason Alexander's character, George Costanza from Seinfeld is in this movie. And at a party says, what am I, Perry Mason? And I thought, Harry Mason.
Oh.
So, I don't know.
Didn't catch that.
Well, I'm guessing, I don't actually know who Perry Mason is. I should have looked that up, but it seems like it's probably a reference to something else.
With what you're talking about, I hope this isn't going to turn out like a Yellow Submarine for me.
Oh, no, you're fine. I just wanted to... My soundbar just said bye for some reason.
Bye.
No, I just wanted to cover this for like 10 minutes or so at the beginning because, there's obvious Silent Hill stuff here, and I didn't want that to be the full discussion. So that's why I said, hey, skip ahead a little bit if you don't want to hear how this connects with the Silent Hill games. But clearly, they took a lot of inspiration from this. Maybe the most out of any other thing.
Right.
I would say. For Silent Hill 2 and 3. And just this idea that someone's seeing this like nightmarish world and it's like combining with reality.
Well, yeah, it's all psychological.
The concepts. Yeah, it's
all like in the protagonist's
yeah, it's kind of a
psychological construction of purgatory.
Right. It's kind of amazing how much shit Silent Hill was able to just take from other places and still like stand on its own so well, because it does, but it's undoubtedly straight up ripped from many pieces of media, like movies mostly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just thought that'd be cool to point out. On to...
Oh, yeah, it is. It was definitely going to come up during this convo here.
Yeah. So, I guess on to the movie discussion then. Beyond how just it compares to Silent Hill.
Yeah, the actual meat of it here. That was just some extra...
That was just some extra shit for you.
Some size. That was the fries here with the main event.
Yeah, all right. So let's get into it.
Okay, so where the fuck to start?
I don't know. I have some notes. Do you have notes?
Well, like I think you showing me all this David Lynch stuff has prepared me for a movie like this.
Okay.
Because as soon as the well, first of all, in the opening scene, I was like, "Oh, I didn't expect this to be a war movie."
Yeah, I felt the same way.
One? But then, oh fuck, didn't mean to.
Oh, you're good.
My bad. It's gonna sound weird. Yeah, as soon as the war scene was over and he wakes up in the subway, I was like, it's one of these.
Yeah.
I was like, it's going here.
Right.
Yeah, and then I was looking forward to what else was going to be happening.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, because I told you also I saw this once at Bond's house with Brendan and Austin and like people there, and there was a lot of talking. It was hard to like hear everything and to pay attention and shit. Like, so I my recollection of the movie wasn't that great. That's why I wanted to see it again.
Right.
All I remembered is like, oh yeah, it was like Silent Hill. It inspired Silent Hill. Like, that's what I remembered about it.
And you know what? Like, if I watched it like that or in any way that wasn't like immersive, I would have been pretty upset.
Really?
Yeah, because this movie is a real experience.
Great. I'm really glad you liked it. But on the war thing at the beginning, when I saw that the first time, I was just like, oh God, because for some reason I've never loved that setting.
Well, I mean, I think it can be done very well, and it has. It
has. There are actually some movies like that I think are great, but I wasn't ready for that. Like, if it was going to be a horror movie,
luckily, what was the one that you you had to watch in your English class that I sat in for?
Apocalypse Now. That was a good one.
Apocalypse Now. I love that movie.
It's a good movie. Was that the first time you saw that?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I like that movie, and I like Saving Private Ryan. That's like just a straight up war setting, though. Like,
well, yeah, I've never
actually pretty
seen
different.
Saving Private Ryan though, but Apocalypse Now is my favorite war setting movie.
Right, but I'll say that this, luckily for me, I guess, doesn't have a lot of that. It just kind of opens like that, and it goes back to it a few times. It is very vital to the story, but it's not the tone of it. Mostly is actually
it's not the focus.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's like important to know with the character and everything.
Right.
And I mean, Vietnam, like especially now, like, you know, unless your first thought is Big Lebowski like mine.
Me too. Yeah.
It like Vietnam and PTSD and psychological warfare go fucking hand in hand.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, so there is I guess some more overall things that I wanted to mention while we're still early.
Uh-huh.
We're always kind of a mess at how we talk about shit, but so I guess like a little criticism that I had was for acting. I wrote that the actress for Jezebel.
Uh-huh.
Not that great. I didn't think she was really selling me. Not really.
I think she sold me.
That's interesting.
I wanted to say Jezebel in this movie, fucking adorable.
Oh, well, yeah, that's not what I meant, though.
Yeah, but I know it's not what you meant, but like both of them, like at least the beginning, I couldn't help but smile when they were like watching their banter.
I definitely think that it's well written, their banter.
Like it feels like a regular ass couple.
Well, I'll say at the very least, I feel like her performance was inconsistent, because sometimes I definitely didn't have a problem with her, and then other times, and I didn't write any like specific parts, but sometimes she just really wasn't selling me, and it felt like awkward delivery.
Maybe it's done deliberately.
Well, I was gonna say it didn't feel like Silent Hill purposeful like weirdness, but maybe.
I never really noticed. So
okay. That's one thing I had. I wrote that I liked the music.
Oh yeah, I was gonna mention that too. You're just taking all my talking points,
particularly the piano passages, and they reminded me of Twin Peaks.
That's funny. They didn't remind me. They reminded me actually a little bit more of Silent Hill.
Neat.
Not like immediately directly, because they didn't stand out too much. But when I did notice the music, I was like, "This is really cool."
Right.
Like, some sounds in there, I would love to use for my own stuff. I know it sounds biased as fuck, but
right.
It's kind of a more unique soundtrack that you're not going to hear in most other movies.
Yeah,
because a lot of them are like, hardly you ever notice the soundtrack in a movie.
Yeah, and I noticed it here. That's why I wrote it down.
Yeah,
and
it definitely helps it to stand out rather than just do the strings and then brass when it's like of a bop moment.
Right.
It's like it's like I guess since the whole Marvel movies like thing, that huge fucking line of movies.
Yes.
I think that burnt me out on movie soundtracks, sadly, because it's all the same.
I never even noticed that they like had.
The only time I noticed it again was Infinity War, where it's like, oh wow, that's some low brass that they're using, and that was it. Because the rest, it's all just horns and strings going,
Right. Right. Oh, what is May doing to my head?
Yeah, she's bumping her ass directly like onto your head.
Now she's playing some piano. I wish the mics could
I accidentally
hear that.
left the keyboard on. Whoopsies.
Yeah, now she's interested. Okay. Sorry, another little thing. Yeah, I liked the music. The piano remind me of Laura's theme actually, a couple times. That's all I had for music. Another just overall, I guess, sort of little criticism. Not like a huge problem, but I think it kind of suffers from being on the nose. It could do subtlety a little better.
I agree.
Yeah,
you're kind of jumping all over the place.
Well, what I'm trying to do right now, or from now on, is get the general big statements out of the way at the top, and then kind of go through the movie.
Gotcha.
Because I feel like we've always been very messy, and I'm trying to find something a little less messy for how we talk about movies. Okay, so we agree on that.
Yeah.
All right. I guess that's all we have.
No, yeah, it definitely is. Like, there's a few parts, like lines that are said in the movie. Particularly one when he's getting his palm read, and then the lady's like, "Oh, this line's here says that you're already dead." It's just like, "Oh, cool."
And it's
there it is.
It's said again later in the movie.
Yeah. And like hell is brought up a bunch, and it's like, I mean, it's cool that like the average moviegoer is going to be able to follow with this.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's because all this David Lynch has spoiled me of like trying to search for my own narrative and all that.
Yeah.
Here it kind of just feeds it to you.
Yeah.
There were a few reveals, I guess, that like I didn't think were like too on the nose or like were fine.
Yeah, I think so too.
It was more or less like character dialogue, because it's more or less like if they tell you what's going on, then I'm like, that's definitely way worse.
Yeah, it's
to me. The show don't tell.
Yeah, classic movie rule: show don't tell. I agree. I don't think that every instance of this like totally took me out of it or ruined it, but some things are just like could have been a bit more subtle,
Yes.
Yeah, for that, I wrote that. I took note of that also. That the psychic who reads the lines of his hand says he's already dead, and then soon we get a flash.
Because like at least there, I was already building that narrative in my head of like, oh, he's dead already.
Right, and you should have room.
This is Silent Hill. Like,
you should have room to do that. Yeah, and then soon after that too, we get a flash to the past where like the guy's like, he's dead, his guts are hanging out, and then like he's told later again at the hospital that he's dead. Like they really nail that home.
Yeah,
like they drive that home. Yeah.
Oh yeah, when he's got his head screwed in, it's just like, what do you mean? Like there's no getting out of here. You're dead. And blah blah blah.
Yeah, it says it. It kind of really tells you an awful lot. I think. Yeah.
However, though, it does open up a different sub narrative. At least that I've interpreted. You probably have the same thing.
Drugs,
or can at least. Oh no.
There's drugs and there's well, obviously there's that's in the movie. I didn't come up with that. Where they think. Or where the military, the army, they did tests on them. They experimented on them. But also...
not about that.
But also, I wrote, there's themes of drugs and religion. Like right off the bat, when he's on the subway, you see the hell poster and the ecstasy poster. And that's drugs, obviously, in the religion.
And the guy talks about LSD and that.
Right. Yep. And there's a lot of religious elements too. His children are named. They have biblical names, and
and that's directly referenced.
And it's told you that, and same with Jezebel, and they make a point of like, May, get away from the candle. 1 second. Oh, I can't put her in my room anymore, guys. I got a new cat, by the way.
Skylar, you Sharpie. It wasn't very effective.
Yeah, and obviously Jacob's ladder, meaning ladder to heaven. And further than that, he says his massage therapist looks like an angel.
Right, and like, I don't remember him saying that. Oh no, he did.
Because
he's over my head.
He's like in the light, and he.
I just forgot.
Yeah, the way it's framed. Yeah,
because like later on, it's more like obvious with the dialogue between the massage therapist and Jacob.
Yeah, it's all just to do with lack of subtlety and not being like, I guess, open enough for you to interpret,
or to piece it together yourself. It kind of just more or less tells you.
But to be honest, like, I enjoy the movie. Like, I definitely enjoy the movie despite these things.
It just kind of hurts the rewatch value almost.
It definitely, it hurts. Killing any interpretation or mystery does not work in its favor, I don't think.
Yeah, so it definitely inspired lots of the horror and psychological elements for Silent Hill, but none of the mystery, sadly.
Yeah, because Silent Hill definitely leaves
Silent Hill's mysterious as fuck.
It leaves shit open to you.
Especially in 2.
Absolutely. Which is, why maybe it stands well on its own. But back onto the movie. You said that you had an interpretation that didn't have to do with the drugs and the death and stuff they spelled out for you.
I guess I'll wait till the end to show my whole hand.
Okay. Then I'll go on to my next point, which was the effects. I think they're on point.
Effects?
Yeah, like like literally like visual effects, but also like the makeup and just all kinds of everything. I think generally on point.
For sure on point. Good editing too.
Yeah, there were a couple points where they did that Saw effect. It's in the Saw movies. And it was in the Slender Man movie, and it looked terrible. But in this movie, it's cool.
Saw effect?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you. It's like where people move in like that uncanny and inhuman, like fast way. Like,
with the head like a brrrt.
So, yeah, I actually think it's cool in this movie. And it's the way they did it is... I'm gonna say like the wrong word, I think, but they set like the aperture or like this basic like the speed on the camera. They set it really low and then like had someone move really fast, and then they played it back at normal speed. So like it creates that effect, and I think this was the first time they did that. Like anyone did that.
I'm not surprised
in a movie.
1990.
I could be wrong. I could be wrong about that. But
I really quickly wanted to share when you brought up just when you said people moving in unnatural ways. Mm-hmm. My mind immediately went to Beavis and Butthead walking.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm like, oh god, that's terrifying.
Right. So yeah, I just wanted to quickly point out, like, the effects, I think were pretty on point.
Yeah, for sure. The movie fucking jump scared me a couple times.
Really?
One near the end.
Oh yeah, there were a couple jump scares.
When it was that fucking just person there, and he was in the bedroom, I think, looking at his reflection in the cabinet, looking through photos, and there was just a man that just went poop.
Right.
And I was actually like, oh Jesus. And then when Jezebel got all scary eyed.
Oh, okay. I thought
that freaked me out too.
I thought there was one or two, or I thought there were one or two jump scares where like it actually did the like.
No, the first one, yeah, was definitely like a jump scare, which I thought the movie was better than, but I'll allow it.
I'll allow it too. What did I have? I thought it's funny that the Home Alone kid was his child.
Oh yeah, Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah, and
so this is gonna sound really fucked up, but
also I've never seen Home Alone.
When they me neither, but when they brought up, eventually, as the movie does, that one of his kids died, and like you meet all three of them, I was like, please let it be Macaulay Culkin.
Oh my god!
Please let it be him, because I don't know, I'm just not big on him.
That's hilarious. You haven't even seen Home Alone.
No, but he's
neither have I.
I'm sorry, he's an ugly kid. There, I said it.
Damn.
Kids can be ugly.
So him and George
and he's
Costanza.
Super successful too. So it's like, what were you saying?
And George Costanza, which I already mentioned, the dude from Seinfeld, like two dudes that you just never see in anything else, and they're in this movie.
Right.
I think that's pretty funny.
I mean, the movie also is guilty of doing that thing where it like gives you a really wholesome and emotional scene before revealing that it was him that died. Feel attachment for this kid,
right?
Because he wanted to be tucked in bed that one time. That's a little forced, if you ask me. I wasn't big on that scene.
Right.
It was kind of funny though that all the kids were just waking up.
So for me,
I was like, "What is this, a convention?"
For me, it felt almost the other way around because I felt like I knew that he was the kid who died, and then we got that scene.
Well, like the scene where it's like revealed, I'd even need the graphicness of the car hitting the bike.
Right.
Like all it could, like it already set it up because you see the wrecked bike when he's getting moved across into the hospital.
Right.
Like he looks at it.
I really like that.
And he says like he said like his name. I forgot his name.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I really like that too.
Yeah.
It just kind of like shits itself later when it like reveals it more like kind of obviously, you know?
Yeah, but I really think I really like that visual though.
I'm not gonna same here with the light hanging on it and it's like a really gross in the hospital part. Yeah, I really like that visual. And I guess like I'm not gonna knock it for doing that scene as much as it sounds like. It's just I didn't need that, but I guess for some other moviegoers they could use that little extra dotted line to connect that dot.
Right, but I do think it would be cooler, like you're saying, if you just saw that and like
I thought it was just gonna be he drops the bicycle cards, he's in the middle of the street with that bike. You already saw the bike. It's one of his kids. You know it's probably gonna happen. And it cuts and it's him crying, and I thought that was going to be it. And I was like, that's really powerful. And then it does the car thing with the and I'm like, really? They could have just cut that out and it would have made it better, in my opinion.
Fair. I was going to say that I think like if they kind of remove that whole backstory with the kid and like well, you know that he had a kid that died, and then you see maybe that bike in that same way that it presents it as it is. Like that could be really powerful because then like your mind will put that together.
Yeah, or it could just like
you put something
it
together.
Could just show him picking up the cards off the street, cut to Jacob crying a bit, and then just silently show the bike wrecked.
Yeah, it's very possible that this movie could be re-edited to be like even more powerful.
Yeah, all that is an edit, like
Right. What did I have? I guess this is gonna be random now, but
okay, if we're going random, then really quick, I want to before I forget. My favorite lines and parts of this movie was when when Jacob did that angry voice.
When
he would get angry.
What part?
So I was gonna give a couple. It was every time he was in the hospital, and my favorite line in this movie is when he's getting wheeled down, and the doctor was like, "Does he have any form of ID?" He was like, "He's like, he stole it. Who stole it? Santa Claus."
Yes, I wrote that too.
Santa Claus. I actually look at him like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, I wrote that down. Who stole his wallet? Santa Claus. With a mad face. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's his angry voice. He does it again later, and it was really funny.
Well, I guess my note's less random than that, but I had that note too, so might as well throw it in there. Because we already talked about the like religion themes and stuff, and yeah, pretty relatively early in the movie, I think, his car. Like he gets or not his car. He gets chased down an alley by a car, which is full of quote demons.
Oh yeah, really funny. I thought I could have sworn the driver of that car looked like Trump.
Really?
So in my head, I was like, Trump is trying to run him over.
I'm a demon. Okay. Yeah, and then I had the line about a bunch of stuff that we already talked about. One scene I wanted to talk about was pretty interesting. Was when he gets the fever of 106, and the movie kind of pulls a little mind fuck on you, and then like it almost felt like it did a like a Lost Highway type of thing where it just kind of changed the narrative on you because you're not sure for a few minutes until it gets back to it. Because he gets a fever, and then she makes him take an ice bath, and she pulls his underwear down. He's like, "What are you doing?"
What are you doing?
I thought that was hilarious the way he delivered that.
Also, he's got cake, dude. Yeah. That was some plump booty.
So yeah, and then they force him in the tub, like Jezebel and all these
oh yeah, and then she runs away like, "Get in there." He's like, "I'm freezing."
I'm freezing. And then mindfuck, he wakes up next to his wife and his son, and they're still alive. And it turns out that was actually the dream. So like for a second I was thinking, because that's how little I remembered this movie, I guess. I was like, oh shit. So that whole thing, like the first 40 minutes of the movie was the dream.
That's funny. Yeah, no, I picked up like pretty quickly that like, okay, so we're back. He's thinking about the time like before.
Yeah,
like,
it was like a dream or
reminiscing past or like
yeah,
either that or it's from his past. Like
yeah, I was like, it was
obviously, but it could be more of a projected fantasy of like how he wishes the family was, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. It says that I said it could be a dream or just straight up a flashback.
Yeah.
But yeah, then he wakes up again with Jezebel.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was going to say something. Oh yeah, when they were freaking out about the fever, in my head I was just like, is 106 that high of a fever?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I looked it up.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
What's the dangerous amount? Because I think
103 is high.
well, here's the thing. I think when I was in elementary school, like first or third grade or something, I had a fever of 107.
That's really crazy.
I felt like I was dying, like actually. But yeah, so that's why I was just like, is it that fucking urgent? Yeah. I guess it was. So
yeah, you should have been in an ice bath.
I remember, the only thing I remember is like I was on the couch and the fire was going in the fireplace, and then like I had an ice pack on my head,
right? And
I was like, "Oh, please kill me." That was the first time in my long arduous life where I was like, "Just do it, just kill me,
just end it."
And I was like Jacob when he wakes up in the ice bath. He was just like, "Am I dead?
Am I dead?" Okay, what did
he asked that a lot in this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's more.
That's the other side of the coin where it's like, of the you're already dead. I like him asking if he's dead all the time.
You like him asking?
Yeah, like, am I dead? Am I alive?
But you don't like the movie asking you?
No, I don't like
or
the movie.
You don't like the movie telling you?
Yeah, I like him asking.
Right. Well, I do actually have a theory section, so I guess that's when we'll talk about your other one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's much to theorize, which is what I realized, but I only have a couple notes before that. What does this say? His friend Paul, who was in Nam, calls him saying that they need to meet up, says he's going to hell, and his car explodes. So there's like that weird sort of motif, because that's just like Jacob was told earlier in the movie that his doctor's car exploded.
Mm-hmm.
And we start to learn that everyone who was there that night at the beginning of the movie in Vietnam is seeing demons.
Right. Seeing things come out of the wall or something like that's just in the corner of your eye.
Yeah.
And like, I think that's cool. I think that's a cool concept, but I wish it showed that more with Jacob rather than just what we do get.
Yeah.
I enjoy what we get, but I think there's a disconnect versus like what the movie is telling us that they're seeing versus what we're actually seeing.
Right.
Because I also wanted to say the thing I love about this movie is how it goes from scene to scene.
Right.
I would agree. It just feels like it flows right into it, and it's probably just him waking up and like going back and forth between things, but it really streamlines a lot of the story that it's trying to tell.
I agree.
Like in its own pace, you know. Mm-hmm. It's a shame that it kind of revealed too much too soon.
Yeah.
Because it really set it up for really manipulating how information is being given to us as the viewer.
Yeah, I think this movie does.
I love how like it changes from scene to scene.
I'd agree. I didn't take note of it, but that's a good point. I think this movie does a lot of things really well, honestly. Mm-hmm. I just think like there's so much that's like holding it back also at the same time. Like, and it's mostly minor stuff. Like, it's not ruining my experience completely,
mm-hmm.
but it's making me think like, oh, if this was done just like a little better, like, or if they just did these things a little differently, it could have been much more impactful. I think it would. It has a cult following, like a cult status, but I think
right.
like it would be still talked about, like movies that you need to decode or games that like things that are more abstract, because this is very abstract, but the meaning of things are thrown in your face.
Yeah. And what's actually happening and all that.
Yeah. So that's I'm basically a theory time. I also took note that Jesse was working at the hospital. So make of that what you will. And we're on to my theories.
Well, I thought that was like projected in his
yeah.
Not actually.
Right, because she's well, yeah, I guess that's what I have in my theory. Like, I wrote this whole theory, and then on top of it, I wrote, "Oh, fuck it, dude. Read the quotes. They come out and tell you." Like, because I wrote some quotes down. But I was theorizing before they threw everything in my face.
Right.
So I kept all that. And I said, I was also writing the theory before I realized how many answers they were going to straight up provide for you. So we can go through that.
The cool thing is, though, that I wanted to touch on is like, this movie is it's kind of like parallel with like its themes. Like, if on a first watch through, like any normal moviegoer where like they just see a linear story, they piece together like what happened in his life.
Mm-hmm.
And more big brain boys like us are trying to figure out what's going on behind the red curtain, you know?
Mm-hmm.
With the whole like drugs and everything, and like, you know, is he dead or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
It's just the movie kind of tells that already. Like we said.
Exactly. So, my theory was pretty good until they just told you, I guess, because I had some of that right.
Right.
Okay. So I'll read you mine, in all its glory, and then we can go over yours since you have an alternative.
We should talk about the ending too.
Oh, we'll get there. Yeah, I've got some stuff down there.
With that dude that just explains like what the ladder is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I said. That's why I said, "Oh, fuck it, dude. Read the quotes," because they come out and tell you. Those are the quotes I took note of. So if you want me to read the quotes, then sure. We got from the Angel, his massage therapist. Basically sums up the whole movie, and I really do like these quotes.
Yeah, with the whole thing about hell. And
it's powerful, but it just tells you everything.
And even repeats it at the very end, too.
I took note, not so sure the quote had to be reincorporated. He just said it like 15 minutes ago, and the connection was pretty clear. Right. But yeah, so here they are.
And when he says, like, and when he reassures him, so don't worry, okay? Like, you can really, that's definitely like a, telling him as if that is like what is the case rather than
exactly
the surface level characters that were being shown.
Yeah, so here's what we got. Quote 1. The only thing that burns in hell is the part of you that won't let go of your life. Your memories, your attachments. You burn them all away. But they're not punishing you. They're freeing your soul. And quote number 2. If you're frightened of dying and you're holding on, you'll see devils tearing your life away. But if you've made peace, then the devils are really angels freeing you from earth. Said by the angel. Okay, so yeah, I said this character also takes him from the hospital where he's being tortured and works on his back, which is a repeated complaint from Jacob, which I wrote the little connection. Helps him to be comfortable so his soul can be free. Basically.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, what my theory essentially is, which is I guess true, if they're just gonna tell us, is that like what we're basically seeing is Jacob in this purgatory kind of where he's gonna go to heaven or hell. He's
constantly getting chiropractic done on his back.
Yeah, he's gonna go to
what a purgatory.
He's gonna go to heaven or hell, and he's like Jezebel is kind of this demon. And this his masseuse is his angel, and at least there's a happy ending, I guess, as happy as it can be.
Right.
But so yeah, I'll just go through that then. I said I think he died at the beginning when he got stabbed, which is definitely confirmed in this. I said he's going to hell or being judged in purgatory, and his life with Jezebel is a visual representation of that. He probably worked as a postman before going to war. Unless there's a metaphor here I haven't considered.
Mm-hmm.
And cheated on his wife with this woman, Jezebel, who worked there too, at the post office. I think that was hinted at. At least I picked up on something there. She gets demonized at one point, and her face is distorted in the mirror, which is why I think she's like the representation of this demon. Jacob is having the most trouble accepting death, and this is depicted when he thinks the army put him and his friends on drugs. They pull out and say that it's hard to explain why. And I thought that was like they realized and accepted death, but Jacob is still in denial. So like he has to believe that like he was part of some experiment or something. But as it turns out, the experiment was real, so scrap all that, I guess.
Yeah, and like at the because it just shows text that they actually did experiment on soldiers in Nam. Is that true?
I didn't look into it.
I thought you would have.
No, but I was just kind of like, oh, because like they destroyed my theory that that he needed this mental like headcanon that like, oh, we were experimented on. I'm not dead. And then it shows everyone else pulling out of the case that they had. So I thought that was like, and they couldn't explain why. I was like, oh, they've accepted that they're dead. They're moving on. They're at peace with it. But like I guess the movie took that from me with too much explanation.
Right. And it's a little sad that it explains a little too much.
Right. And I'm getting towards the end here, and then you can have at it. And then I said at the hospital when he's told by the doctor that he's dead, he's like, "No, I'm alive." They say that he's been killed.
Alive. Yeah,
I'm alive.
Right. Yeah, that was the second.
I'm alive. Yeah, I took note of both those. I guess I just forgot how he delivered them.
I'm alive.
He keeps dreaming about the proper goodbye he never got to have with his family. That's how I interpreted that. And then he meets with the guy at the end who confirms Jacob and his friends were experimented on in the army, and they killed each other. Can't decide if they really were or if they weren't, and this is Jacob being unable to accept death. In the end, he accepts death and ascends the ladder, or the stairs, or the ladder,
right?
With his son. So like he makes peace and goes to heaven and stuff. Now I'm pretty sure that like him being unable to accept it, and like the whole headcanon about being experimented on, like they made it pretty clear that stuff really did happen.
Right.
So yeah, just bummed me out a little bit. So yeah, have at it. You had a theory that you managed to have a theory even though they told us so much.
Well, it's more or less an underlying theory, like what else, like what is being said, what is being conveyed in this movie, as opposed to like what is literally happening. Because what's literally happening is, like, I would obviously agree with what you said. Like, that's pretty much canonically what happens.
Yeah.
Though, my theory and also what I want, it kind of tosses out some of the end reveals for the sake of my own interpretation and headcanon.
Mm-hmm.
But hear me out.
Go for it.
Hear me out for it. So, I think this movie definitely is about blurring, more than blurring the line, but blurring like what is heaven and hell,
mm-hmm.
and making them more or less the same.
Okay.
Or at least making them more similar. And I like it when media does that, where it's like, how great, because I mean when you really like read the Bible and like get into like biblical stories and everything, God was a bit of an asshole.
Right.
And the whole thing about with Satan is like, he never wants to, the thing that makes Satan such an interesting like character, is that he does, and it's done so wrong all the time, he doesn't want to overthrow God and take over the fucking, what is it? The astral plane or whatever. He just wants to be God's equal.
Really?
I know I'm rambling, but it's important.
No, I'm hearing you.
Because we're getting it, because the story is all about biblical shit.
Right.
So, like, if you know that can help out quite a bit. But they don't really use that. So, for more, like, personal stuff, yeah, he served in Vietnam, and I think the movie, when you look at it canonically, about him dying after a stab wound, it's about like his soul, I guess, trying to hold on to his life, and he kind of lives out the life that he would have if he survived.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just one of the many, 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 to the power of Google, different possible timelines that could have happened. And all like the butterfly effect, because like you can piece together what happened. Like, he came back from Vietnam after being honorably discharged, got married, started working, blah blah blah, had kids, wife cheated, did all that you said earlier, and lived all the way like he could,
right,
at least in that, until he finally like accepted and let his soul go.
Mm-hmm.
Like said later in the movie, when they're like, put up one hell of a fight though.
Yeah.
For my head canon, it's a little different.
Right.
Because it throws out entirely that he died in the war.
Right.
That could have been, I think it's, I'll reframe that so I don't like toss out an actual like important part of the movie, that his fate was sealed from being stabbed, and then he got stabbed by his own teammate, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, because they all killed each other.
Yeah, because of the experimentation.
Yeah.
So I think that is more of a death, not ego death, but there's no other way of putting it. It was like it sealed his fate,
right?
Of that, how things were going to turn out, and gave him all that mental scarring and PTSD and emotional troubles and all that shit, to lead him into a more rocky life.
Mm-hmm.
And then it gets way more Silent Hill 2 like, with the whole psychological horror and everything. And protagonist not being all that good because, you know, he cheated on his wife.
Right.
So everything is him actually alive, and the other thing is him. The other parts where he's asking if he is are like hallucinations, like with the demons and the hospital part and everything. And in my canon, he died from the fever.
Oh. Well, that's interesting.
Because there's nothing else after that we get. We get like him seeing Jezebel for and him saying he was in the hospital for 2 days, and she asked him to please not go. But like that, I think is just more residue from him actually just being dead. Like that's his soul,
right? So
like he died, or like at least went to critical condition, went to the hospital and died in the hospital.
Right.
And saw his chiropractor there as an angel, freeing his soul more or less.
So yeah, so I think it's cool that you're able to take like a different interpretation.
I just took some pieces and kind of like, I'm gonna switch it this way.
So yeah, like, it sounds like you understood how it was intended, and then you're like, I want something else out of this. Yeah,
I mean, well, that's kind of where I was thinking until they revealed at the end where like he just died there. So I just kind of twisted that to make the rest of my narrative work still. With the whole underground stuff, to me, I think this movie, and this is going to go directly with my closing thoughts, I think to me this movie is about the will the human soul can exert.
Right.
And tenacity in and of itself. And that Jacob has lived a harsh life, like really tough, you know, as we all do. And this might be a little bit of self-projecting on here. But there were like key moments in his life that were like particularly hard. Vietnam, his son dying, his wife, until where he's at now with Jezebel. Like that's the present in my view. And of course he's having trouble with his past because, you know, the past will shape us all we are. We have regrets and everything, some more than others. So I think him going through all of that just shows that he's a resilient person, has a resilient soul and all of that. And that he's a fighter, and that's why his soul wasn't letting go of his life because he's so used to that.
Right.
Doing that in his normal life, going through all those hardships. And to me, that explains why he's always like, am I dead?
Yeah.
Because I think he keeps asking that every time he either remembers or goes through a really hard point in his life.
Right. It's kind of a motivational way of putting it.
Well, yeah, it's a motivational, you know, hippy-dippy and like inspirational, you know, but like genuinely that's what I take away from this.
Despite everything, you're still alive. It's still you.
Yeah, exactly. It's still, despite everything, it's still you. At the end of everything, hold on to anything.
Yeah. To quote some games.
Yeah, and I guess that's just kind of how I'm interpreting stuff now, like with Donnie Darko.
Yeah.
And some other stuff, but like I think it fits fairly well as an underlying motif with Jacob's character.
Right.
And I think the scene with him and the chiropractor is assuring him that like it's not giving up, you know, when you let go of your life. It's accepting that all these things have happened to you.
Right.
And that once you accept it is when you truly reach enlightenment.
Right.
And then he was able to be with his son and, you know, construct, you know, lots of things that made his soul happy. And that's really all that he wanted. He can have all that he wants, I guess.
Right.
Once he's reached that point.
Right.
Also, back to my narrative theory, I think I could double down with he died in the fever because of that one shot where you zoom really close in his eye, then back up and then back out.
Yeah.
I would say that's an out of body experience at least.
Neat.
But yeah, that's just what I think. That's how.
Well, that's good. That's
what I took away from this movie.
That's what they're for.
If it were a bit more subtle, then I could. Then my theory can hold a bit more water.
That's what I was just gonna say. I think for me, the biggest like L this movie.
It still does. But I do have to tweak some headcanon, you know.
Yeah, I think the biggest L in this movie, for me personally, is just like there's a lot of stuff that's not subtle about that we already touched on, and I already touched on this, but like if you just take out like whether or not they were drugged and experimented on, if you just don't confirm that, if you just present it as a possibility, and then you have all these guys pulling out of the case and being like, nah, we can't explain why, but we're not going to go through with this, like just leave it there, don't confirm for me.
Yeah,
because then like that leaves so many things up. Like now that's just a bunch of unutilized characters.
Well, yeah, because Vietnam was already like a super psychological warfare like type event, and I think it can work as like a sub narrative.
Yeah,
with the whole military thing. For me, it just kind of adds to the hardship that Jacob had went through.
Yeah,
and paranoia that he doesn't know if his own government did this to him. Similarly, like how his own comrade stabbed him. So I guess that's where like the whole paranoia would come from.
Betrayal.
So yeah. Obviously, I would just kind of leave that as like it's still him being paranoid.
Yeah. Well,
and all that stuff would add up to someone like
It could be
commendable how much he can stay determined and tenacious to keep going, but it will break someone down eventually.
Yeah, but I think it could explore a lot of these different themes if it just wasn't confirmed that, they were just literally straight up, they were drugged.
Yeah. And maybe that's there to like satisfy the average moviegoer that
I don't know
doesn't. I think it'd be an insult to say the average moviegoer doesn't.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it that way.
I want to say for those who watch movies and don't want to think,
who don't want to like analyze it. Yeah, I'd say. But yeah, I wanted to touch on how underutilized that makes all the other characters that were like seeing demons and stuff, because it just like they serve a mystery while it's building, like they help serve the mystery of it, but then when it's explained, they're kind of a waste of time. Yeah,
they kind of just fuck off, and it's kind of sad. Like I wish instead of like that group, it was more like Silent Hill 2, where there's only like a couple more characters. Because to me, in this movie, there are 3 characters. You know? And honestly, I think that's all it needs.
Yeah. All right.
And maybe Macaulay Culkin is what inspired Laura.
Oh yeah.
Think about it. It's just a kid, and he's dead, and never had the chance at life. But that was more Laura than Macaulay Culkin.
So let's. I had one more little thing. I don't know how relevant this is. Unless you remember what year he said it was, because there was something that was maybe a little open to interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I saw this in a theory video like 6 months ago, which is why I noticed it. But I said it's important to note the Nixon now pin and picture of Nixon when he's in the cab at the end of the movie. Because Nixon was president from 69 to 74.
Mm-hmm.
And Nixon now, I looked it up, and I think I heard it way back then when I watched that video. Nixon now was his slogan for the 72 election. And early in the movie, Jacob mentioned the year being 70 something. I didn't remember what it was, and I said, "Did you catch that?" Because if you didn't, then fuck it. I don't know where this leads, but
no, I didn't.
It's something to look into. Maybe it means something.
Also, I did totally think that I totally thought that Jacob was the one that got cheated on.
Oh, really?
With all with the imagery that's happening, like with the tentacles and things in the party scene.
Right.
So I thought that that was the thing that led to his marriage failing.
It could be a rabbit hole.
I guess not. I don't know. That's kind of unclear, and I think that's the point. Like, I prefer it to be unclear of why his marriage failed.
Yeah, I don't know,
rather than the fact that it did. And that is more or less the point why I built my theory the way I did. because it's more like it's not about why things have happened. It's more a fact that they did and about accepting them.
Yeah, so that's why I think, like, as far as, like, the personal takeaway, I think, like, his marriage failed. I think he cheated with the girl at the post office. That's why Jezebel had demon eyes and whatever. Like, I think she kind of is the reason that he didn't have a happy ending with his wife and his kid. Well, his kid died, but with his wife and his family. And I think that's why, in my interpretation at least, like, I think that's why we keep seeing him regretting not having this, like, goodbye with his family, not having this happy ending to that, and he just keeps dreaming about it. But I do love, like, the little chemistry that we do get of him and his wife when he wakes up from the ice bath, and he's just, like, talking about the girl, and he's like, she was really hot, she was really good in bed. And then, like, his wife, they're just like, it's a joke, like, it kind of shows, like, what kind of relationship they had just in that little sequence.
Right. And it was funny where he was in the ice bath and he kept telling his wife to close the window.
Yeah.
But, like, that's obviously, like, it shows that he still holds on to that.
Right.
But it's weird that you bring up Jezebel being being like a demon, because I view it as the opposite.
Well, I looked up, like, her role in the Bible, and that was not her role in the Bible. So if her name is supposed to have any significance, then that goes against her being a demon. But she, like I said, when it made a point to show her in the mirror and have her face all, like, refracted. And,
well, I think that just shows, like, Jacob's paranoid and doesn't trust anybody, or at least has trouble doing so.
And it shows she has demon eyes. I don't know. I interpreted it more directly. And maybe it's the fact, like, she could be a demon and Jezebel is supposed to be, like, some angel type of figure. I don't know exactly Jezebel's role in the Bible. But I thought maybe it could be, like, a disguise. Like, that's her name, but what she really is a demon. Like, because he doesn't get to move on until he leaves her and he goes with the angel and his kid and up the ladder, you know?
I see that part, but for me, I think it's the opposite. I think Jezebel is more or less, maybe not necessarily his road to salvation, but, like, some happiness in general, because, like, his life did lead that way, and he seems relatively happy with her. It's just that he's having trouble moving on from his past, and, like, you know, he had a whole family.
To me,
everything. So, like, I guess it's both. Where, like, you know, he's unable to move past it. So then that kind of makes her, like, well, still, I mean, not even that much of a demon, but, like, it's still happiness and where he pictures himself most of the time.
Yeah, to me, she makes him happy in the way, like, you know, heavy drinking might make someone happy. It's just like, it's kind of
healthy for him.
It's kind of, yeah, I think it's kind of like his distraction.
Explain yourself.
I did. He has to leave her at the end to ascend with his child. But he also
left his wife too at the end. So, like, he leaves everybody because he accepts what happened to him.
I think it inherently says that she was a negative figure in his life. When, you know, well, at least I guess that's one thing that's unconfirmed, but in my canon, he definitely, like, cheated on his wife with this girl, and that's what she actually was in his life. Obviously, in this whatever purgatory state that he's in for the movie, the role that she plays is his significant other. But I think in his actual life, the role she played was his mistress and led to the downfall of his marriage and his happiness and all the stuff. So, like, that, I guess that's my explanation.
Not fully taking that bite.
That's fine.
Yeah.
You have I mean, yours is way different from mine.
Oh yeah, like we have
so yeah.
I'm not, like, trying to immediately dismiss it in favor of my own. Like, I'm actually thinking about it, but it doesn't really, I don't think it really shows her being negative. Again, like, the interactions we get, usually it's shown her as really loving and caring toward Jacob.
Yeah, I know, but that's what that's the same way as like you can be tempted by drugs or something.
Yeah, but
they also have the fight and the falling out at the end.
I will give you the but like couples do that.
But it's not resolved. It's like the right move for him to not be with her.
But then same thing. He's not with his wife, so like that's not the. Just because it's one way doesn't mean it's this way, Well,
I don't think he can have his wife because he blew it.
And that's the part where it's vague because we don't know.
Yeah, that's what I think. Don't know. That's what I think.
Fuck, what was I gonna say? Shit. Oh, I will say like you do have some ground to stand on because Jezebel is pretty sexualized in this movie.
Yep.
She's a lot like Maria in Silent Hill 2.
Yeah.
It's his desires and all that.
Exactly. And, at the time that this movie was made.
And the wife? Not doing it for me. Sorry.
At the time that this was made, something being overly sexualized is definitely like a figure of temptation and not like good.
Right.
Not in a good way.
It's not even like overly. It's like enough for you to notice and all that.
Yeah.
Same thing with Maria,
Mm-hmm.
She's sexualized, but like not in a way that's like, overly obvious until like later on.
We're talking about
she even
Silent Hill 2 again.
Yeah, Silent Hill 2. Because that's another comparison that you can bring up, Maria and Jezebel. Because she also does that, there's also a shot of her like bending over.
Yeah.
In a really suggestive pose. Just like how Maria does in the game when she picks the lock.
Yes.
She's doing all those poses and shit. She wears certain things. So,
all right.
I guess that's more food to chew on because I only thought about that now. Or
okay.
Like fully addressed it. There's there's a lot that's still at least an hour in chirps.
Yeah, clearly there's
up in the air.
Clearly there's room.
I guess we just wish there were more. But
yeah,
how would this podcast look like if it was directed by David Lynch?
Oh God. I don't know how David Lynch would have done this.
There definitely would have been a red curtain scene.
Definitely. But yeah, okay, so I feel like we talked about it.
There would have been like a reenactment of Vietnam with like I don't know, like a toaster and like a cat or something.
Jesus.
And like an actual ladder and then just a cow that just steps on stage for a second.
Probably. A horse too.
Yeah, a horse too.
So that's I guess that's that. We had some stuff to entertain the thought of.
Yeah, to kind of dig into it a bit more. And there's still kind of some more pieces. I just don't like remember them or able to bring them up, produce them.
Cool. So ratings.
Oh, there's also that parallel of James in Silent Hill 2 sitting watching the TV with the big revelation at the end of this movie where Jacob's sitting at the end of the bed looking at his own reflection.
I didn't notice that.
Well, at least that's what I thought. Like that was.
Well, I would have
that
to.
was more terms for inspiration.
I'd have to be looking for that double or for that parallel. But yeah, I'm all good to do ratings. I don't. I think I got most of my thoughts out.
Oh yeah, same here. This movie for me is definitely one for me to rewatch.
Okay.
I guess I got a lot of fucking rewatches on my list because of this fucking pod.
Yeah.
But it's definitely going on the rewatch list, and it's a movie that's going to stick in my brain for quite a bit after thinking about different meanings and all that jazz.
Right.
But yeah.
Go for it.
All right, well, I really did enjoy this movie quite a bit. So I'm gonna give it a solid 9 out of 10.
Damn. Yeah, I didn't expect that.
Only reason why it's not a 10 because we went into why. We already went into why. If it were just a bit more vague, but everything else was the same, yeah, it'd be Tensville.
Okay, great. Yeah, you liked it more than I did actually, which shouldn't be surprising. I was mostly the one who was coming out with all the critiques and everything.
Right.
But yeah, I really enjoy it. I don't think I need to watch it again. I'm glad I did watch it again. For sure. And I got something out of it for sure. I would watch it with someone. Like, I'd show this to someone. That pretty much seems to be where every movie with this ranking gets kind of that description from me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm giving it a 7 out of 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
Quite a difference.
It's not that big, but I guess,
7 to 9, that's a big difference.
I mean, I gave Funny Games a 9 and you gave it a 5.
That's a
difference.
Stark difference.
But no, I think it's a very good movie that really needs to, it could improve just from some editing.
Well, I still think the editing is really good.
Yeah, no. I just mean cut some stuff.
Yeah, we think the story could
just
be improved with editing.
Just cut some stuff. Like, it would be an 8 probably for me.
And it gets lots of brownie points from me for having like good music that's noticeable.
Right.
And I think just the way the story is like kind of unfolds and is told is one that I really enjoy.
Great. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
It reminded me of another potential wreck that you might get.
Perfect.
That I think are pretty similar. That's not Silent Hill,
Yeah.
But yeah, no. After I watched this movie, I thought, damn, he does it again. He does it again with the Rex.
I didn't know this would click with you so much. But I'm really glad it did. Like, 7 is pretty solid. That's a solid from me. So great.
Yeah.
On to your rec then.
Oh,
if
yeah.
You're ready?
I have a rec.
You do. The Illusionist.
The Illusionist. When did this movie come out?
The same year as The Prestige. 2006. So that
all
was...
the magic movies are like...
Yeah, that was... I said 2006 was a time for magic movies, I guess.
Yeah, hitting the blockbuster shelves.
So, yeah. Do you want to give a little synopsis for your
synopsis.
film?
I haven't rewatched this movie, sadly. I just didn't have time to. But I've seen it quite a bit, and more so than the Prestige.
The Prestige, right?
Yeah. So this movie is about one of the more headlining magicians in town, Eisenheim, which now I keep thinking of Heisenberg.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and it's just about him and I forget the girl's name, but it's a love interest, but they're separated. Sophie. Yeah, they're separated by class, so they can't be together, and also she's married to a prince.
Yeah.
She's engaged. So then through Eisenheim's genius for working with magic, he devises a plan so they can run away together and stay together.
Right.
And that's it. So it's magic and romance as opposed to magic and sci-fi this time.
Directed by Neil Berger. I don't know who the hell that is. I don't know if he did anything else that anyone knows, but I thought I'd mention it.
No, and there's like not really anybody to note in the cast of this movie, I don't think.
There's what was the Jessica Biel? Is that the Sophie? Yeah. That and Edward Norton. I don't know what else he's been in, but I'm sure. It sounds like a familiar name.
Yeah, but like,
Yeah.
Maybe just one step above the cast in Jacob's Ladder.
Yeah, but I guess he did Limitless and Divergent. I just haven't seen those. I've heard of them though. So this movie.
So general thoughts.
General thoughts. Okay, so I did like The Prestige better than this.
Just off the bat.
Like, because I feel like it's the only thing that I have to compare this to.
Well, yeah, no, they're very comparable. This is why you're getting this trilogy.
What do you think?
Well, this was my favorite movie for the longest time.
Interesting.
This is my top favorite movie. And yeah, it is interesting because I fucking hate romance.
Right.
But this was adorable, I think. Probably because she's named Sophie, and I really like that name.
I'm not huge on the name.
It's fine. It's fine. I like Eisenberg better anyway.
Okay, well, this actually, this right here, this could be your funny games because I didn't enjoy it as much as I think you wanted me to.
Oh no, it's fine. I wasn't like banking on you giving a 9 or even an 8. Well, I wasn't really banking a whole lot. I did just want your opinion now as a more seasoned veteran of movies.
Right.
And this is for me an old classic.
Right. Which is why you've seen it so much, I guess.
Yeah. And I love the scene, the setting. Again, this is like smack ass in vaudeville in England too. I love the kind of like the colors that we get. It's all very warm. It feels nice. Good music too.
Yeah, it definitely has it's definitely got like a warm tone, like and visually.
I think the whole like mystery plot, for me the first time was the first time I was like, whoa. But now it's probably predictable for most people.
Yeah, I'd say. But
but no, at the time, I was what, 15, 16?
Yeah, right. So I guess
it's predictable, but I still enjoy it.
Right. I guess to get into it, like one similarity for The Prestige, I said, is again the magic aspect of the film seems more like a vehicle to tell another story.
And I think Ricky Jay also was the consultant for this movie as well.
Okay. I said in this case a romance story, and unfortunately, in my opinion, the romance in this movie feels kind of one note and contrived. So I guess we're pretty different on that one.
No, I would agree. It's really cheesy.
Okay.
But it's sweet. It's not in like. It's not. I don't think it's like the same level as some rom-coms where in levels of cheese.
I didn't think there was so much cheese. It's just not enough development at all.
Yeah, it's definitely not like Eternal Sunshine type of chemistry.
No, and you don't need to be like that.
Yeah,
that great. Like I think that's one of my favorite movies of all time for sure. But like, this one just didn't develop it enough for me.
Yeah, they kind of just knew each other from when they were young, and then and then he saw her again like a carriage and was like, "Oh, I want to bone you." Oh, I can't. I'm getting married. Oh, fuck that guy, right?
Yeah.
But it's simple. Like,
so yeah, I
enjoy its simplicity.
I said that it's surprisingly by the books. Like, as a story, even with this aspect thrown in there of magic.
And isn't it cute that they grew up together, like knew each other when they were young?
Well, I have a note on that. If you want to get right to that, then I can go to my note about that.
We can just keep following your notes.
Oh, I had a note on that, which was... We'll just get to that now. I said as I get older, and I realize I'm still too young to say that since I'm 23. But...
yeah, but we feel like a couple of, fuck, what are we doing?
But, yeah... As I get older, I always find the idea that two long-lost lovers meeting up significantly later in life would fall for each other in the same way again. And I'm not saying it's impossible, just seems unlikely to me, especially when they were young lovers.
Yeah, well,
and their falling in love isn't really developed in the slightest. It just sort of happens, and it's based on the fact that they were a couple of old flames.
Well, yeah, that's because, as we get older, we realize how much people can change and how quickly they can.
Exactly, which is why,
especially given enough time. But for the time period, I mean, what really could she have been doing or watching that would make her change? I don't know.
Huh?
I'm talking about the time period.
You think people didn't change back in the day?
I'm pretty sure. No, I just mean they're probably just more bland back then.
I don't know. I wouldn't make a statement like that. I think humans are very subject to change. I don't think it matters when you grew up.
Yeah, but back then, I don't know. I think it does depend on the time period. But I'm not gonna just turn a blind eye for nostalgia's sake because I do still like this movie. I'm not gonna excuse bad writing for the time period.
Well, yeah,
I'm just kind of pointing it out.
Right.
Yes, they are pretty one note.
Most of my critique came of that because they really did focus a lot on their relationship. That was, the point of the movie. So what did I say? Overall, again, another comparison to The Prestige, I guess, is I think it lacked some personality as a movie, as a film.
Mm-hmm.
It had the warm tone, the warm visuals. Tone isn't the right word. I didn't feel a lot of tone from it. That's what I'm trying to say.
I didn't meant more visuals when I
yeah. I said tone, and I'm like, I'm using the wrong word.
In terms of tone, it's a mixed bag. Otherwise, it's kind of it's kind of a bit colder in terms of tone.
Yeah, but it does play it a bit straight. Like it feels, I don't know. I felt like warm watching it.
Yeah, well, I think honestly, like when I did watch it back then, I was way more invested into the magic, and I was like, yeah, couples are that one dimensional. That's normal.
Right.
Couples can be that lame.
Yeah, and so let's talk about the magic then, because like before you get into it,
yeah, I want to know your opinions on the magic, because there is some outlandish stuff.
So
on the surface,
kind of like what I said about the Prestige.
Yeah, but I will be glad to talk about this.
I said like when he makes the orange tree.
Yeah. Okay. So we're jumping in the orange tree first.
Well, yeah. Okay. I said because like maybe there are explanations for everything he does in the movie, but as someone who's not a magician, like I'll just read the note.
It looks bonkers. Yeah.
I'll just read the note I had. Because they're not interested in going into like whether or not a real magician could do that. I'm not talking about explaining it. I'm talking about whether or not this is just like movie magic, because that's not interesting.
Oh yeah, whether or not the magic in here is plausible.
Yeah, which is what I wrote. I said, is he supposed to be a magician or is he supposed to be magic? And I said, if the only way to explain, if the only way to explain the magic is video editing, isn't it way less cool? Like, it's like playing a game with cheats on. Like, that's what I wrote.
Well, yes.
So, if it's plausible, that's awesome. I don't think the movie illustrated that.
I think most magicians agree that video editing is not magic.
Yeah.
Camera tricks. But this is a movie. And the orange tree particularly, that was a trick that has been done in that time period.
Okay.
And it's funny. Teller from Penn and Teller has said that he's obsessed with that trick and really wants to do the orange tree from this movie.
Mm-hmm.
The sad part is you're probably never going to see that version of it, because in the day they would plant the seed in the box, cover it, and then it would uncover it, and then it would be at different stages of the tree growing.
Right.
Otherwise, for that actual part, it would be done in a very industrial.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna use some code there. Method of doing it,
mm-hmm.
like actually using gadgetry and shit, and it does show like the blueprints of it, and it's plausible, but it wouldn't look nearly that good. But the other thing is about those times too is that stories of magicians got really embellished.
Right.
It was like a really awful game of telephone, which is why like in the beginning it kind of like sets that tone of like this is what it's going to be like when they told the story about the old man turning the flute or whatever into a snake and then made the whole tree disappear.
Yeah,
like stories like that got that outlandish back in the day.
Yeah, he turned
so it's pretty accurate historically for that.
Yeah, he turned it into a frog, I think.
Yeah, it was like a frog or a snake or something.
And I wrote a note about that too. Not terribly relevant, but I said that when it shows him meeting the magician as a kid, it looks like Lord of the Rings and he's Frodo.
Yeah.
Like that, it just looked like that to me.
I haven't seen Lord of the Rings, but no, I understand that.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, keep going.
Yes, I mean, that's basically it with the orange tree. I mean, also, they wouldn't be real oranges in the more industrial method that is being done.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, that was more like we're not actually seeing him do the trick. We're seeing somebody recount him doing the trick or tell the story.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think the story is like told through the police officer that is, kind of been there the whole time watching Eisenheim.
Right.
But yeah, no, that was a real trick. and a really good one too.
That's cool. I don't think they nailed home or I keep saying nailed home, but that's not the expression. I don't think they drove home the magic in this movie. They didn't drive home that the stuff is plausible. Even though you're telling me it is, the movie didn't tell me it is. So I think it failed in that aspect.
Yeah, I understand the movie didn't. Unless you're a magician and you actually have done your homework on history, you wouldn't otherwise know that.
Yeah, so it seems lame. Because it would be cool in person. Magic is something that works in person.
I'm pretty sure. There's other tricks that are done in this movie, aren't there?
Yeah.
From what I remember.
Most things are just he makes something float or disappear or holograms. It's all this stuff that it's just it's a movie. But if you saw that in person, it'd be way different.
Well, the whole hologram scene is literally where the whole smoke and mirrors come from.
Yeah.
That was dead ass how it was done, the smoke and mirrors.
Right.
And it gets really interesting when you read more about those type of illusions. Mm-hmm. And it eventually turn into the illusion that is shown in Disneyland, mm-hmm. which is called the Walt Disney illusion or hologram or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, it doesn't really go much more into depth other than that.
Yeah, I just think the movie needed to do more work because you're doing that work. You're the magician. You know that stuff.
Yeah, but it kind of paints him as more of a lot more he's got it all together. He's the brainiac.
Yeah.
He's always in control and everything. The trick I do want to talk about that is talked about a lot is the thing with the ball and holding it up to your head.
Mm-hmm.
That actually works.
Yeah.
That's an actual trick. That
part was cool. That
it's cool, but it's really weird.
Not because they explained it to me, but just because it made it a plausible trick, I guess.
Yeah, I think there were some things in the beginning of the movie that he was doing young Eisenheim that was actual magic. I could be misremembering. Oh, it was the card thing, wasn't it?
There was where he took the 10 of hearts or whatever, and he was put it here, put it back in your deck, and yeah.
And then he had it float up. Oh yeah, and then they it float directly out of the deck.
Yeah,
that I didn't like because
there was a lot of that. There was a lot of things floating.
That I didn't like because you couldn't really say, oh, the story got embellished because it was just done with just Sophie. So unless she's recounting that's what happened, then that's tough. But the rising card is an actual trick that's done. Really commonly in Magic.
It really depends how much credit you want to give the movie, in my opinion. If you want to say oh, it looks like that in the flashback because that's how it was described. That is I'd say that's something that a higher level deeper thinking filmmaker would do. But is this that film is my question. I don't know, judging from everything that we see in it.
I think in terms of the magic, yes. Because, again, Ricky Jay was the consultant for this.
You think it's purposely, it looks like that because that's how it was described. So,
well, I think
it's hearsay, and that's why it looks impossible instead of, that they're trying to show you a direct representation of what happened.
Well, I think there could have been a push-pull with here with Ricky and some of the producers maybe that wanted to make it look much more like movie magic. If this were set in the same time period as Prestige, I wouldn't be saying what I am right now.
Okay.
It's not a direct excuse for all of the visual effects that go on with it, but it's the only one that I have.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering is if you're making sense of it for them or if it was decidedly done that way.
Yeah, these tricks are based in reality.
Right.
I will point that out. Even the stupid butterfly thing, that is an actual thing, though they're not real butterflies.
Right.
If they are, then I would like to know how we got that.
So yeah, it's just it's hard for me to differentiate if you're giving it too much credit or if they did that to kind of paint this picture of it's exaggerated.
Yeah, and the handkerchief thing was also a bit exaggerated too.
Mm-hmm.
Where like the lady had the box and like the handkerchief was in it or some shit, something like that.
Yeah,
happened.
yeah,
but
and it disappeared in the audience. Yeah,
yeah, I remember like kind of being like, that's a little gimmicky in terms of a revelation.
Right.
I think it's been a while since like I seen that trick to dissect that, but I remember, I guess, having the same reaction that you did with the orange tree.
Right.
Except with the orange tree, I was like, whoa, that's cool.
It's cool that this stuff is possible. It's just not cool how they did it in the movie, I don't think. Like,
yeah.
As a viewer.
Yeah.
May's being cute and cuddly. Okay. So I guess I'll get on to my next note then. Well, right at the beginning, we get a sort of a lengthy exposition dump about his backstory with the girl. Pretty standard, bread and butter. He and a girl fall in love, and they aren't allowed to see each other because of their class differences. They get split apart. Yeah, you went over that. That's basically, it's like Romeo and Juliet, and they want you to believe
this movie is really Romeo and Juliet, like,
and they want you to believe it is Romeo and Juliet. They want you to believe that she dies and then he dies and then they're together in death or some Romeo and Juliet shit. But then it's
a comedy.
Yeah, they want you to believe that, but I never did.
They end up running away to like Greenland or some shit, like some like it's some open field with one log cabin and just like hide out.
Maybe it's because
and to look back older and like, damn, the dude gave up like all of what he worked for in magic to be with the girl.
Well, the character motivations were really underdeveloped. I felt like, I don't know.
Yeah, they were. It's kind of more like appeals to the teenager, like, we gotta run away.
Yeah.
Like they also kind of Disneyfied the villain a little bit. They made him a little over the top.
Yeah.
I did enjoy his performance though.
Me too. I liked him. I liked his performance. The only character that I really liked who had any sort of like dynamic to him was actually his assistant. I felt the villain's assistant.
Explain.
Do you know who I'm talking about?
No.
You don't know who I'm talking about. The guy, he basically has to go back and forth between the villain and our main character for like the whole movie, and he has to be like, "Don't do the thing. I'm going to have to expel you or kill you or whatever if you do that."
Oh, you mean the copper?
I don't know who it was. He was like bald dude. Yeah.
Oh yeah, isn't he the police officer?
Yeah, I guess so. He was like the most.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
He was like the most interesting character to me.
I can agree.
He felt the most developed on his own too.
Which is probably like, I mean, to me, I think this movie is like a recounting of what he knows, and like it's from his perspective.
Yeah.
And he's kind of just like, I don't know. He's kind of like with he just is on Eisenheim's side the whole time, and then like when he does it, he's just like, "You bastard, you did." I don't know. It's really cheesy,
yeah,
and like the way like he feels about him.
Right. So yeah, what else did I write? Hang on. May get down. Get down.
Oh, also back to the magic. I remember the coin thing that Eisenheim did for the poor children.
Right. Yeah, I liked that.
I like that too. That was actually
that
based in reality.
Yeah. As far as a trick, as a character, it seemed like a quick, just like he's a nice guy.
But honestly, that trick to do live is kind of lame.
I bet. Yeah.
Because he is just turning over the handkerchief over and over, but it is a nice reveal.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of sucks to do for like a real kid,
right?
They catch on really goddamn quick,
right?
But visually, it's nice, and you get that closer with the coins coming out with the hand, like the whole bunch of them.
Okay. What else did I have? There were a couple strange transitions, of all things. right after the douchebag, I don't know his name, kills himself, and at the end it like makes this jarring cut to like it's like a little circle, and the rest is black, and then it like the circle expands, and I was just like, and I paused it and rewound and watched it again to see if there was like, I could be missing some like underlying significance or something, but it was just like this really weird jarring transition of like the bald dude like sitting there after the guy killed himself, and then it just cuts to something completely unrelated, and there's just like fucking iMovie transition, and I was like, what the fuck?
Right.
Does that have any purpose that you know of?
No, I don't remember.
It seems like, if a different director did that, like there might have been some significance to it. I don't know if this meant anything, but I think there was another one too, that I can't remember right now. Let's see. Another thing kind of like that, well, still on the technical stuff, the sound was really weird. Whenever there was clapping, especially, it sounded really strange. I don't know if you remember something like this, but
really?
It sounded really like compressed or something. Like, so, yeah, I said this also happens with other sounds too. Like, there's a scene where the D-bag pours himself some water, and it sounds like I don't know, and it, like a door is closed, and there's multiple doors that are closed, and like it kind of creates like this like immediate double of the sound, like almost immediate double. And it creates a noise that's like it's really, I don't know if it was just the version of the movie I watched, but the sound was a little weird in this movie.
Yeah, so it might just be a weird import or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I don't remember anything like that.
No.
Also, can we talk about that the necklace that he gives to Sophie?
The necklace. With the jewels on it.
No. That Eisenheim gives to her with the photo in it.
Oh yeah, okay. I didn't have anything.
Can I just point out that the mechanism for that is actually just bullshit?
Sure.
Because like I saw that, I was like, "Whoa, that's cool." And then I got obsessed about it, and then like after thinking about it, I'm like, "Wait, no, that's impossible." Because when it swivels open, it like turns at the swivel point. So there's no part for it to actually have like a hole in it for it to pivot off of. Plus the photo would be torn in half. And like on a rewatch after that, I looked and paid attention to every time he fucking opened the damn thing, and it cuts every time he does the swivel thing to make it to a heart shape.
Right.
And then
I did like that, and then
it's really cool, but it sucks that it's actually impossible, and then it cuts every time. And I was like, that was the first time I had a "you motherfucker."
I didn't think about it, but I did think it looked cool. Yeah,
it looks cool, but like it sucks that they couldn't come up with a better design.
I guess the stuff I wrote at the bottom were already like closing thought kind of stuff, and we're not there yet. But yeah, at that beginning scene, I thought the foreshadowing was a bit on the nose. I wrote it down early in where she was like, make us disappear together or something. Yeah. I was just like, I bet you will. Like,
I bet you will.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cheesy, but I like it.
But like, I guess, a younger viewer might not see that coming. If you're not thinking about it, like, and I wasn't trying to think about it. They just kind of told me, like,
yeah.
So what I said, I predicted the twist, but not how it would be executed. The problem is, since the romance was so underdeveloped, I guess I really didn't care whether they ended up together or not. Like, so that was how I felt about that.
Yeah, no, it definitely could be done better. It would be obviously more realistic if they did it better, as opposed to like the time period thing that they were shooting for, I guess.
Yeah, they kind of insisted on it being a character-driven or like at least like a story. It's driven by the story and the characters.
It's driven by like the mystery of how it happens rather than like the motivation of why.
Yeah, but they're not the strong suit. Like, I didn't feel like anything particularly was like extremely strong in this movie personally, but like I think that the weak points dominated, like took the spotlight, which was the character development and like the romance arc. Because I felt like again that it could have been more interesting if it did more with the magic itself.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different ways where it actually could be a bit more driven with magic rather than just
it could utilize that setting,
having him vanish at the end.
Yeah,
which is cool, but like I don't know. That's like kind of it. That's like the extent that he does is that he comes up with that.
The worst thing I think with a magic movie, if it insists on like at the end he's gonna do something that's impossible to explain, it's like, well,
yes, like,
it's a movie. Like, come on.
It's like that's a really like
who cares?
Not fair build from that
exactly. Yeah.
You know? Well, it's a common, you know,
it's the thing to do.
It's a common build for anything that with an interesting character, you know, is where they is at the very end they reach their like maximum potential.
Yeah, but it's just with magic that's such.
But it's not Whiplash.
It doesn't work.
You're not
like
going to do that unless like you actually just gives a killer performance, but you know, to a regular audience member, it wouldn't mean much unless he does something impossibly bullshit.
Make him give a great show at the end or something. I don't know, like that.
Yeah, but I don't think normal people would appreciate that as much as, you know.
Yeah.
The impossibly bullshit thing.
Yeah, basically.
Sadly.
They make it seem like he summons the dead Sophie, who was supposedly, they set it up so it looked like she was killed by her abusive boyfriend.
Oh yeah, they had her say that.
And I wrote that when he summons her, she's vague. And I was like, come on, bitch. Like, if they really wanted to frame this dude, like, she gets summoned and she's like, I was killed by someone in this room. It's like, fuck you, dude.
Yeah. It's like but we already know, like, what supposedly happened, but whatever.
But he's not here. But he was. He's just dressed up.
And also when it reveals that he vanishes, he kind of shoots himself in the holographic foot because he just revealed like how he summoned Sophie.
Yeah.
That's the problem that I said last week that magicians love to do, is just do reveal after reveal. But sometimes you'll reveal how you did the previous trick by doing that shit.
Yeah.
Which sucks. Well, not sucks, it's just dumb.
Right. So, Oh no, my new coop, my cat Cooper is in the other room. Yeah, my cat is in the other room.
He's got a new cat.
He's meowing. Yeah, we're doing the thing right now where we have them both my cats on opposite sides of the doors, and they haven't seen each other yet. But now May is looking intently at that door.
Yeah, she's very curious,
and that's irrelevant. But so do we want to? I don't know. I was already at the end of my thoughts.
I was gonna say Eisenheim as a magician. Yeah. He's just kind of it's just kind of to the point, you know, where it's just like, look at this impossible thing, you know.
Yeah, he kind of just gets out there and
that's cool. Lots of magicians are like where they don't use like gags or anything. They just kind of like get to the point of it.
Yeah, in the Prestige there was more of a performance aspect, and
showmanship.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah. Here is not really all that much of it. It's just like, you know, you pay to see a mystery of the world. Here it is. But otherwise, like some of like the close-up stuff he does, it can be pretty good.
Yeah.
Just looks like he only does one trick at a time.
That's true too. Yeah. So
routine's one of those, but I don't know. It is just kind of off in terms of his presentation compared to the Prestige, because the Prestige you also have they are kind of also just like, okay, to the point.
Yeah, do you know? I agree.
More
yeah,
like they are addressing an audience rather than,
Yeah, I kind of said that about that movie too, and I didn't love how, like, I want to see a movie about a magician more than I do about magic, I guess. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Okay. We'll smirk about something else? Okay. We'll get there.
We'll talk.
But anyway, so that's pretty much all I had. If you wanted to go into something else, go for it.
That's about it. It's pretty long, but like honestly, I don't think it feels like it feels. At least from when I remember, it feels shorter.
It's an hour and 50 minutes. Yeah, it did feel shorter. I'll give it that. It feels
shorter than what it is, except for that sex scene. I think that was pretty dragged out from when I remember.
Yeah. Do you know what magicians think of this movie?
Kind of the same way, like how you think of this movie, or like anybody would, where they're just like, yeah, it's all right. I mean,
yeah, but you love it.
I did love it.
Well,
like it holds a piece of me.
I'm glad it has that for you.
Like, it's still there. I recognize its flaws and that it's not as good as I thought it was.
Yeah, I'm not interested in taking that from you. I just wanted to express how I felt about it.
Yeah, for sure. In terms of the magic, the community probably wouldn't be too impressed by any of it, or like they would know it. Because I feel like lots of us know the history, and if they don't know the orange tree, well, like they can quickly find it. I think it's talked about in a book I have even.
Okay.
So like, yeah, that's not just like a Google search or anything. But I don't know. I'm just trying to think of other things. I think, yeah, a couple of magicians I met have actually done the thing with the ball in your hand.
Yeah, because I think I've heard that one too.
Because they like to frame it as it's like a good segue into more mentalism effects.
It sounded vaguely familiar when that trick happened.
But that's really about it, because everything else is just kind of over embellishment. And there's that coin thing. So really, there's not a whole lot to say about it for that, sadly, other than like everything that I already did.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm cool with
even though it like does the whole movie effects to transcend the trick just one step more.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make it more interesting to talk about. It might even make it less so.
Yeah,
because the thing is with the whole movie editing that they do, the more they edit, the less creative it is, really.
That's what I'm saying.
It's kind of
less is more.
I was gonna say it's like a paradox where like they're trying to make it more interesting by like doing more with it, but like you're also hindering like what your options are in order to actually make it interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was just a side tangent. What are your closing thoughts if you haven't said them already?
My closing thoughts. Most things are technically competent, like just not especially unique or especially well done, like but competent. Acting, cinematography, whatever, editing, whatever. Well,
music.
The transition was a little strange, but and the sound editing was something, unless it was just my copy. But I just didn't really feel like I witnessed anything special or had an experience worth remembering. Like not something I'm interested in again, I don't think. So I guess that's my final thoughts. So rating?
I'm kind of just looking through the subreddit really quick, and I'm not really seeing a whole lot.
Not about the movie?
Talk about this movie, yeah.
Okay, well, I was open to giving...
Oh, here we go. A post 7 years ago. I'm looking for a trick involving oranges.
Okay.
Really specific. Just do cups and balls like the rest of us. That's my answer. For an actual answer, yeah, I guess orange tree. It's weirdly specific.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, not about answering some questions off of the Reddit. Did you give a rating?
No.
What's your rating?
I said,
like or hate it, what would you rate it?
Well, given what I said and given the conversation, I don't feel I was particularly swayed, I guess, to give it like a higher rating, but I was thinking a 5 out of 10.
That's fair.
I was thinking a 5 or a 6.
That's why I figured you were going to give it.
Yeah, I put 5 or 6 out of 10, and I was going to see how this went.
See, I'll probably more sway you to like give it higher, but like it, I don't really have many arguments to do that with, sadly, other than like, I mean, I think it's neat.
It's fair to just enjoy it cool, because you do.
I think it's a good movie that I would show to people. And it's a good movie to just kind of turn your brain off to, honestly, and watch it and enjoy it for like what it is, and more or less say that. Embrace the cheesiness that is in there.
It felt warm. Yeah, that's like the nicest thing I have to say.
I mean, yeah, it's a warm magic movie, you know.
It felt warm, and it went by at a quick, decent pace. Like, didn't drag. So yeah.
Yeah. So I still would get enjoyment out of it, and would still show this to people when we get there. If I just want to put on something light, you know.
Right.
So with that said, I'm going to give this a biased 7 out of 10.
Okay, fair enough.
I acknowledge that it's biased. It's probably reality is 6 because I still enjoy it, but like it's my bias is pushing a little bit.
Fair enough. It happens. So then that's it. Let's get on to...
That's it. That's the pod. So
our recommendations.
Thanks for listening. For those of you who are still here, recommendation time.
Yeah.
I'm a little worried.
You're a little worried.
You're giving me... Oh, no, wait. No, it's not this week. It's next week that you were talking about.
No, it is next week that you're getting... Yeah, we'll talk about that next week. No, these are just... Yeah, normal... Well, I'm giving you a spooky one again.
Right, and this time... my trilogy is going to come to a close with this one.
Okay. So no and a half anymore?
Well, you're getting a fourth one, but it's not directly related.
Okay, cool.
Because I just have another one planned, but it's not part of this trilogy.
Well, yeah, you're giving first this week.
I'm giving it first. Okay, cool. Well, so you already pieced together what the connecting lines is for...
Believe it or not,
This is the first one. Yeah, I know. Wow. You picked up something incredibly obvious. Shocked. So, for this third and final one, you're getting The Incredible Burt Wonderstone.
That's a name. Okay. The Incredible Burt Wonderstone. What do you want to tell me about it, if anything?
I feel like you'll enjoy this one the most.
Okay.
From what we said about all that we did in the past 2 recs, and you get much more of an all-star cast, I guess. It stars Steve Carell.
Oh, okay.
He's like the lead. Oh, and Jim Carrey's in this movie too.
Thank. All right.
Steve Carell and Jim Carrey, can't go wrong there.
Sounds like it should be a fun movie.
Yeah, it's a comedy.
Okay, perfect.
So we got the tri-blend of these: sci-fi, romance, comedy.
Perfect. All right.
All with magic. So be interesting to hear your thoughts on this and how you take it and everything.
Yeah, and it's gonna be funny having that back to back with a spooky movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this is not a Halloween movie, like, by any means.
That's fine. It's a magic movie.
It's another magic movie.
So I don't know if you've seen this already or not. But you haven't ranked it on Letterboxd. That's the only way I can check.
Well, there are some things I haven't ranked because I knew I was gonna recommend them possibly, or that I might have just forgot. But shoot your shot.
Well, either way, it'll be something to discuss for sure. I want you to watch The Thing.
The Thing.
The classic, The Thing.
The classic.
From 1980, I think. It's from the 80s. I'm sure of that. Have you seen it?
No, but like that's definitely just a name that has been tossed around all the time. Like this is one of like the classics.
Yep.
From what I hear, I'm excited to watch this one too.
Good, you should be.
But that said, like I know nothing about it.
It's just a classic horror movie, so you know.
That is one cover movie cover and a half. It's cool. I like it.
It's I think it'll be good for us to discuss, especially as we're getting towards Halloween, since we do have a special Halloween podcast coming that you'll find out about next week. But it's it might be a little letdown for some people.
But also stay tuned for the spooky shed.
The spooky shed. Yeah.
The haunted shed. There you go.
So next week,
the haunted shed.
The Incredible Burt Wonderstone and The Thing should be quite a conversation.
I got the name right? You looked it up?
Huh?
You got it's.
Oh yeah, okay, I got it right. I got it. So
it's a lengthy boy.
Yeah. All right. Sweet. Then
that's it then
for this week. Why don't we blow out this candle?
Blow out this candle. Wait. Okay, do it.